Hello there. My name is Chris Fanning, and thank you so much for being with me today on this screencast. I'm going over AP Literature and Composition, a back-to-school presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to go over what we plan to do this year, the skills we focus on, and my policies. So a little bit about me. I got my bachelor's from UC Santa Barbara in English. I focused on English, especially Irish literature. I got my master's in English at San Diego State, where I focused in American literature. I got my teaching credential at UC Irvine, and in between, got hired here at Valhalla, moved down to San Diego, and started my master's. I'm in my 15th year of teaching. I've taught AP Literature since about 2014, and off and on, like I didn't teach it last year, but from 2014 on, pretty much every year. I attended 3 AP Lit Summer Institutes. That would be at USD, run by table leaders and other College Board affiliated contractors who are there to help educators be more effective at their craft. I've been to 6 total AP Summer Institutes. That would be vertical, including the pre-AP honors, 9th and 10th grade section. I did that twice. And then I have also done a couple of rounds with AP language. So I kind of know where students have been over the arc of their honors and AP track. I scored the AP Literature exam for College Board in 2018, 19, and 2020 being from home, 18 and 19 being at the respective scoring sites. That experience helped me understand what they're looking for, the process, and I did that to bring that experience back to Valhalla to help our students become more prepared for that exam. Best way to reach me is by email for sure, cfanning@guhsd.net. At times I do get a little bit swamped with email, but I always try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours. It depends on when I receive that email. It tends to get really busy at the beginning of the week, the end of the week. Sometimes the email coming in on Friday, I may not see it until I've already left for the day. If I am not too swamped over the weekend, I try to catch up on some emails then. But oftentimes the weekend, I'm nose in the grade book trying to get all the essays graded. I don't mean to ignore you. Understand that sometimes I just get swamped, and I want to do my best to get back to you. If you call and leave a message, I will only see that voicemail when I get here into my classroom and see the little red light. And sometimes I see that message just before school starting, and then it's a bit of a delay getting back to people. But if it's urgent, I would suggest calling to the attendance office if there's going to be an absence, or if there's an error in the grade book. Definitely send me an email. That is the best way to get a hold of me. If you'd like to make an appointment with me, email is also the best way to go. Phone would be ideal for something that I need to know for that school day. So, maybe you want to give me a heads up about your student's state of mind or what they might need, or maybe how they're feeling, so that, if I'm not going to call on them or something, that might be the best time to leave me a voicemail. If you want to add Remind, here's the information. You can join at rmd.at/litfanning, or you can text 81010 and put in the message @litfanning, and it will add you to my Remind list. Parents and students can receive those messages. So about the class. AP Lit is a college level class, so you need to be prepared to do college level analysis. Taking the AP exam is considered essential by the colleges. They want to know that students who have taken the exam are prepared for the rigors of college. From UCSD's admissions officers, when I asked them, does it matter if you do poorly on the exam or not? And they said that they, of course, prefer the students who scored a 5 on the exam, then a 4, and then a 3, and then a 2, and then a 1. And then they prefer the student who took AP but did not take the exam. And then they accept the students that are after that. It is certainly not that students cannot get accepted without succeeding on the AP exam, but the performance does certainly help them. So we encourage students to plan on taking the exam regardless, not to worry about the performance. The pass rate is something I'm very proud of, but it is not something that defines students or myself. It merely is a statistic outlining the result. Students have succeeded on this pass rate at about 80 to 95% typically, and that's standard for us. And we take that as a sign that students have buy-in to what we're doing in class, and that they're responsible and prepared. We're really grateful for the teachers leading up to senior year who've really prepared these students, no matter if it's college prep or honors. Those students are ready to go. Some fee waivers and reductions in fees can often be available to students who need it. They can reach out to PTO or the AP coordinator to put in an application. We're really blessed to have a supportive program. I obviously can't make any promises about what those opportunities may be, but I know that they do exist. My advice for student success is to try to miss as little school as possible. It's inevitable. They will be sick or they will be out for a family emergency or some other problem. But if we can keep them in class as much as possible, that's ideal. Obviously, don't come to school when you're sick, but you can use Schoology as a tool so that you know what's going on in class. But for the most part, being here is the best way because nothing like being present. 2020 taught us that being present there's no substitute. Take notes while you're in class. I rarely require them or mark them off for credit, but we always use them. And so a student will be asked, to review their notes and find something in it where they can talk about. And students will then say, well, I didn't know I needed to take notes. And it's it's college kind of class. So it's just assumed that students take notes for their own purposes. So that can sometimes be a bit of a rough transition for students when they start to realize that note taking is for them, it's not for the teacher, and their success is something that they're in charge of. So if they're taking notes and they're doing that dutifully and diligently, then they'll find them useful. And that is the ultimate goal. And that's the same thing for keeping a plan or agenda. When students miss deadlines, they can certainly complain that they didn't get a reminder or that it wasn't in their face. But I always say technology is a good slave but a terrible master. And if we're a slave to technology, then we go where it tells us to go and we do what it tells us to do. We're not in charge of it. So if you're going to use calendars online, you have to be the one in charge and not waiting for that remind to come to you. You have to be the one looking at the calendars online, transferring that to a digital format. I'm old school. I prefer a good old fashioned planner where you write in your assignments, your appointments, your due dates, and use it religiously, making to-do lists and checking them off. I also recommend keeping and collecting all work at home. Nowadays, a lot of things are digital, so I've had students create a portfolio, basically their own website where they can house all of their stuff. And even though that seems like an extra step, having that organization is definitely a blessing. You want to reflect on work done and read all the rubrics. So those are the things that I suggest. Students reflecting on their work means that they go back over it, check it, and make sure that they understand. If this was an 18 out of 20, then where perhaps did the student kind of shortchange the answer? And they can always ask me or compare other comparable scores. I don't have a problem with that. What we're reading this year, Their Eyes Are Watching God was summer reading, and then we've begun Fences at this point. We will be reading Twelfth Night next, and then Pride and Prejudice. That will end semester one. The Importance of Being Earnest will begin second semester. The Road, A Brave New World, and Things Fall Apart. We may have time for another independent reading or choice novel. Students are reading a Gothic literature lit circle unit right now, and so you'll be seeing that, whether they're reading Frankenstein, Wuthering Heights, Northanger Abbey, Jane Eyre, and a few others. My major policies is that to get students more prepared for a college environment where oftentimes late work is not accepted. This is still high school, even though it's a college level class. So students have 4 opportunities. That is late passes. They have a sheet with 4 passes on them, and they can attach that assignment. If it's on paper, if it's digital, they will turn it in to me with their name on it. And the assignment labeled on there, and then get up to 90% credit. So that gives them the opportunity to still earn the majority of the points. They basically take a 10% deduction, and that discourages them from turning in a lot of late work, and they have fewer opportunities to do it. at the same time, it doesn't doom them to having no late work available. So trying to meet them halfway, where their experiences have been, maybe a more open late work policy. Um, for makeups, all quizzes and tests are made up Wednesday at lunch with me. They can also make up items at 3 p.m. on Tuesday with Miss Norby, and that's in room 407, which is right across the hall from us, right next to our classroom, really. I am more than happy to offer additional support. I ask that students make an appointment with 48 hours of notice because some days they're just not good. And so maybe they want to meet with me on Wednesday, but that's not a good day. So on Monday, I would say, hey, what about Thursday or maybe Friday? And they may need to be a little bit flexible because I teach periods 2 through 7. So I may not have that flexibility to meet with them at lunch, or I may not be able to meet with them at the end of their school day. They would have to come meet me at the end of my school day. So unfortunately, that's the circumstances. On a case-by-case basis, I may be able to meet them before period 1, but again, I need to arrange childcare, transportation, and all those sorts of things. So to make that work, I need to be able to look ahead and see if that's available. Again, I have my planner and I've got everything written down. So students tend to be a little bit more last minute when it comes to those kind of planning issues. And I would like to help them kind of be more proactive. So our skill focuses, we do poetry, prose, that's close reading, both of poetry and of prose. So they'll get the text and then they're asked to write an essay about it. And then, of course, we do some practice assignments where they're doing activities along the lines that are preparing them for one of those free response questions. Then they'll have an open question, FRQ. That's where they choose a work, a whole book, a play, and we do those assigned. So we'll read a book in class and then we'll do an open question on it. Sometimes that becomes a take-home essay. Oftentimes it's just an in-class essay and they leave it. But those are all scored kind of on a draft kind of quality basis. They're not going to be perfect, but they're going to have a pretty deep understanding of the book and can do so in an imperfect way, but with detail and showing some insight. We also do multiple choice where there's, anywhere from, we'll do 1 or 2 passages together in class, but we're working towards the exam where there's 4 to 5 passages with 10 to 12 questions each. So it tends to be about 55 questions with 5 passages. So their pacing is important. Their target annotations are important. And again, perfection's not expected. The students doing the multiple choice, they may not answer 2 of the 12 questions and they'll just have to move on for time, but that's something we teach them. Some resources which you might need. Oh, forgive me on the Google Classroom. That is a holdover from before. We're not using that anymore. But Schoology will have the calendar, files, etc. You can use MyAP, collegeboard.com. And it's not necessary, but some students really want a book. And I don't think they need a book, but 5 Steps to a 5 does help. So does the Cliff Notes in AP English Literature. The recent changes to a 6-point rubric have kind of made some of those, if they're out of print or if they're a little bit older, you might not want to get them. So I pride myself on being a teacher where students do not need a test prep booklet, that they think that what we did in class is sufficient. So I don't think you need a text. For students that maybe are struggling with the literary analysis, How to Read Literature Like a Professor is a pretty accessible and short book that really gets to the meat of how to analyze literature. I've stopped assigning chapters because I think the students that benefit from it will read it, and that those that find it kind of obvious, it isn't really a good fit for them. So those are my pieces of advice. I'm here to teach, so I don't think I need any outside equipment. I just need them to come in ready to learn, and I'm ready to help them. So that pretty much covers the meat of the presentation. I'm available by email if you need to ask me any questions. Typically what people ask, how can they help their student? Well, encourage effective study habits, and that includes putting a limitation on how much time they're spending on things. Many AP students dedicate way more time than they need to. They don't understand that the task they're doing is just a practice, or it's a smaller scale. I want to do my best to clarify that to them. Like, I'm expecting a paragraph of, fewer than 100 words, rather than them writing, 500 words, because that's going to take them longer and they'll become more frustrated, more tired. They should ask questions, and you can ask them questions about what skills they're learning or they're reading, have them show it to you. I know at 17, 18, they really don't want to talk to you about their work, but it's a really good strategy. of, what if whoever's doing the talking and doing the teaching, they're doing the learning. So I get to learn a lot of literature because I'm teaching it. I want students to do more speaking in class so that they can do more teaching, and I'll have them teach each other in small groups. We want to reinforce deep reading strategies. So not skimming, not trying to do a week's worth of reading in one night, but really separating it out to, at least 2 to 3 days a week. But I will pace them daily just so that they can see the pacing that I think is most helpful. I commit to them that I don't assign more than 20 pages a day. So that way that, and really it's going to be closer to 15. That way, at worst, they have 30 minutes of reading, but, they might want to spend an extra couple minutes rereading passages, or taking notes, putting their annotations in their book. Help them plan ahead by looking at their schedule, looking out by weeks and days so that they know what's going on. Help them set a routine and stick to that plan. Sometimes things, throw a monkey wrench in there, but, you can get back on track and find yourself, not struggling to keep your head above water. Lastly, create time and space for downtime and other responsibilities. It's very important they get exercise, that they get enough sleep. And I'm very clear with them. Like, look, I'm not going to assign a ton of work just to force you to do work. I don't want to hold your grade hostage. But there's a lot of things that they should do, that they should make time for, because when it does come to matter, or when they are in class, their performance does matter. So, there'll be some practice assignments that we do in class, and I'll give them time to work on it in class, putting that effort in and help them do a better job. So again, if you have any questions, please shoot me an email. If there's anything I said in this presentation that you want a clarification on, go ahead and shoot me an email. I'll go back to the slide with my email address. And I hope someday I get to meet you all. This virtual format isn't ideal, but I thank you for watching, and let me know how I can help. And if there's anything you need to know about your student, I often have parents write something, but being all virtual, it's kind of not possible. But feel free to shoot me an email if there's something I should know about your student. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.